Some of the most extraordinary places on Earth were shaped long before humans existed, and surprisingly, many of them are rarely shown, not even by National Geographic. These landscapes were carved by water, fire, ice, and time itself. Today, you'll discover 15 geological wonders that reveal how powerful our planet truly is. We begin our countdown at number 15. Deep in Mexico's Huasteca region, Tamul waterfall plunges more than 100 meters into a limestone canyon carved by the Tampon River. Over thousands of years, flowing water slowly dissolved the carbonate rock, shaping cliffs, pools, and this dramatic drop, a classic example of karst erosion. This landscape is not frozen in time. It is still evolving, shaped by every season of rain and flow. Long before modern travelers arrived, ancient Totonac communities considered this place sacred, a natural site of purification and power. Standing here, surrounded by mist and thunderous water, you don't just see geology, you feel it. And yet, this waterfall is only a surface expression of something much deeper. Beneath the surrounding forest lies a hidden network of fractures, channels, and underground flows, slowly guiding water through the limestone. A reminder that much of Earth's work happens out of sight. But as powerful as moving water can be, it is not the only force capable of reshaping stone. Because next we leave river-carved landscapes behind and travel to a place born from fire, where volcanic ash, wind, and time created a terrain so surreal it feels like another planet. At number 14, we leave water behind and enter a landscape born from fire. In central Turkey, Cappadocia reveals one of the most surreal terrains on Earth. Millions of years ago, powerful volcanic eruptions blanketed this region with thick layers of ash. Over time, that ash hardened into soft volcanic rock known as tuff. Wind, rain, and temperature changes slowly eroded the softer stone, while harder rock layers remained intact, forming the tall pillars known as fairy chimneys. This process transformed chaos into balance, carving valleys, cones, and towers with almost unnatural precision. Humans didn't just witness this geology, they adapted to it. Entire cities, churches, and shelters were carved directly into the rock, using the softness of the stone for protection against heat, cold, and invasion. Walking through Cappadocia feels like stepping into a frozen moment of planetary change. But fire is only one force capable of reshaping Earth. Next, we travel north to a land sculpted by ice, where massive glaciers carved deep valleys and left behind some of the most dramatic coastlines on the planet. At number 13, we enter a landscape shaped not by fire or flowing rivers, but by ice. Above the Arctic Circle, the Village of Rain rests among the dramatic fjords of Norway's Lofoten Islands. During the last ice age, massive glaciers advanced slowly across this land, grinding and carving the bedrock beneath them. As the ice thickened, it gouged deep valleys into the rock, reshaping the coastline with immense pressure. When the climate warmed and the glaciers retreated, the sea flooded these carved valleys, giving birth to the fjords we see today. Sharp peaks now rise directly from calm waters, exposing ancient rock once buried beneath kilometers of ice. This landscape feels raw and unfinished, as if the ice only just released its grip. For centuries, fishing communities adapted to this harsh terrain, building their lives between mountains and sea. And when the northern lights ripple across the sky, rain becomes a reminder that Earth's surface and atmosphere are deeply connected, both shaped by forces far beyond human control. At number 12, the journey moves into the heart of the European Alps. In northern Italy, Lake Braze rests beneath the steep limestone peaks of the Dolomites, a mountain range formed from ancient marine sediments lifted high by tectonic forces. During the last ice age, powerful alpine glaciers carved this basin, grinding rock into fine sediment and shaping the valley into its present form. As the ice retreated, meltwater filled the depression, creating the emerald green lake we see today. The surrounding cliffs exposed layers of rock that were once part of a tropical seabed, now frozen in stone thousands of meters above sea level. For centuries, local legends spoke of hidden realms beneath these waters, while explorers and naturalists were drawn to its stillness. Standing at the shoreline, the landscape feels perfectly balanced. Water, rock, and forest locked in quiet harmony. But this calm is only temporary. Next, we head to the edge of the world, where granite towers rise against violent winds and ice continues to shape the land in one of Earth's most extreme environments. At number 11, we arrive in one of the most dramatic geological landscapes on Earth. In southern Chilean Patagonia, Torres del Paine rises as a fortress of granite, ice, and wind. Millions of years ago, molten magma intruded deep beneath the surface, slowly cooling into massive granite bodies. Over time, powerful tectonic uplift and relentless glacial erosion stripped away softer rock, exposing the sharp towers and horns we see today. During the last ice age, enormous glaciers carved wide valleys, polished stone surfaces, and left behind turquoise lakes filled with glacial meltwater rich in suspended minerals. The result is a landscape in constant motion, shaped by wind that never rests and ice that still advances and retreats. Long before modern explorers arrived, indigenous Tehuelche communities crossed these plains, telling stories of spirits that lived among the peaks and storms. Standing beneath the granite towers surrounded by endless skies, you feel the scale of geological time pressing down, a reminder that here, nature always has the final word. And next, we travel to a place where stone rises straight from the earth, defying gravity itself. At number 10, stone rises straight from the earth. In central Greece, Meteora is defined by towering sandstone pillars that seem to defy gravity itself. Millions of years ago, this region lay beneath ancient rivers and shallow seas. Thick layers of sand, gravel, and sediment were deposited over time, eventually hardening into rock. Later, tectonic uplift raised these deposits above sea level. Wind, rain, and erosion slowly removed the softer material, isolating massive columns of stone that now stand alone above the valley floor. What remains is a landscape shaped by subtraction, where erosion, not construction, created vertical giants. Centuries later, Byzantine monks built monasteries atop these pillars, seeking isolation and spiritual elevation. The geology itself dictated where humans could go and where they could not. Standing below Meteora's cliffs, the sense of scale is overwhelming. But gravity is not the only force that shapes Earth. Next, we move to a land where ice, rock, and light combine to create one of the most iconic alpine landscapes on the planet. At number 9, ice and stone meet in perfect balance. In the Canadian Rockies, Lake Moraine rests beneath sharp peaks carved by ancient glaciers. During the last ice age, massive valley glaciers flowed through this region, grinding solid rock into fine sediment known as rock flour. Each summer, meltwater carries these microscopic particles into the lake, scattering sunlight and giving Moraine its striking turquoise blue color. The surrounding mountains expose layers of sedimentary rock that record hundreds of millions of years of Earth's history, compressed and folded by tectonic forces. Though the surface appears calm, this landscape is shaped by seasonal change, ice advancing, melting, and returning year after year. Standing at the shoreline, the air feels thin and silent, broken only by wind moving through stone. But alpine beauty is only one expression of Earth's power. Next, we travel to a valley sculpted by ice on an even grander scale, where water falls from vertical cliffs in one of the most dramatic glacial landscapes in Europe. At number 8, we enter a valley carved with absolute precision by ice. In the Swiss Alps, Lauterbrunnen Valley stretches beneath sheer limestone cliffs, shaped into a classic U-form by massive glaciers during the last ice age. As the ice advanced, it widened and deepened the valley, smoothing rock walls and leaving behind vertical faces hundreds of meters high. When the glaciers retreated, meltwater found new paths, plunging from hanging valleys above and creating more than 70 waterfalls that cascade down the cliffs. These falls are not permanent features carved into stone, but living expressions of seasonal melt, constantly changing with temperature and snowfall. The valley floor, once buried beneath ice, now rests in quiet contrast to the dramatic walls above. Standing here, surrounded by falling water and towering rock, the scale of glacial power becomes impossible to ignore. But ice does not shape only valleys and waterfalls. Next, we move to a tropical coastline where warm seas and ancient limestone created a landscape of hidden lagoons and towering cliffs. At number 7, the landscape changes completely. In the Philippines, El Nido rises from warm tropical waters as a labyrinth of limestone towers, carved not by ice but by rain, waves, and time. These dramatic cliffs are part of an ancient karst system formed from coral reefs that emerged millions of years ago, later sculpted by chemical erosion as rainwater dissolved the limestone layer by layer. Over time, fractures widened into caves, tunnels, and hidden lagoons, many of them accessible only by narrow sea passages. Beneath the surface, the rock tells a story of rising and falling sea levels, leaving terraces and hollow chambers frozen in stone. Mangroves cling to sheltered coves, stabilizing sediments and protecting the fragile coast from erosion. Kayaking through these calm, enclosed waters feels like entering a geological sanctuary shaped by both land and sea. But this tropical karst is only one expression of water shaping stone. Next, we travel inland to a massive volcanic basin where an ancient supereruption created one of the deepest and most beautiful lakes on Earth. At number 6, we arrive at a place where fire and water shaped one of the most dramatic landscapes in Central America. Lake Atitlan lies inside a massive volcanic caldera formed by a supereruption more than 80,000 years ago. When the magma chamber collapsed, it left behind a deep basin that slowly filled with water, creating this striking high-altitude lake. 3 volcanoes dominate the horizon: Atitlan, Tolaman, and San Pedro, each built by repeated eruptions that layered lava flows, ash, and volcanic rock over thousands of years. Beneath the calm surface, steep underwater slopes reveal just how deep the caldera truly is, making Atitlan one of the deepest lakes in the region. Volcanic soils around the lake are incredibly fertile, allowing Mayan communities to thrive here for centuries. Towns like San Juan La Laguna and Santiago Atitlan preserve traditions, textiles, and rituals deeply connected to the land. Morning mist often rises from the lake as warm water meets cool mountain air, creating a constantly shifting atmosphere shaped by geology and climate. But while Atitlan was born from explosive force, our next destination reveals what happens when water slowly sculpts stone from the inside out. Next, we head to Switzerland, where glaciers carved a valley filled with waterfalls. In Fjordland, the world feels ancient. Dark mountains draped in moss rise straight from the water, while light rain drifts through the air and the scent of wet stone and old forest fills every breath. This is not a place shaped for humans. It is a place shaped by time. Fjordland was carved during the last ice age when massive glaciers moved slowly across the land, grinding solid rock into deep U-shaped valleys. As the ice retreated, it left behind dramatic fjords like Milford Sound and Doubtful Sound, where vertical cliffs plunge thousands of feet directly into the sea. Waterfalls pour from hanging valleys, fed by constant rainfall that sustains one of the world's rarest temperate rainforests. Mosses, lichens, and giant ferns cover the rock, creating an ecosystem that has remained largely unchanged for millions of years. For the Maori people, Fjordland is sacred ground, a place where the gods shape the land with immense power and patience. Traveling through these fjords feels humbling, as if the Earth itself is watching in silence. And just when you think you've reached the edge of the wild, the journey takes you further north, to windswept islands where green cliffs fall straight into the Atlantic and nature still rules without compromise. The Faroe Islands feel like the edge of the world. Green cliffs rise sharply from the Atlantic Ocean, wrapped in mist, while powerful winds carry the scent of salt and grass. Here, the land doesn't gently meet the sea, it collides with it. These islands were born from volcanic eruptions millions of years ago, when layers of basaltic lava cooled and fractured, forming steep plateaus and sheer coastal walls. Over time, relentless waves and storms carved arches, sea stacks, and vertical cliffs that plunge hundreds of meters straight into the ocean. Waterfalls spill directly into the sea, defying gravity and scale. Above them, rolling hills covered in moss and grass hide a rugged terrain shaped by erosion, frost, and constant wind. There are no trees here, only rock, sky, and ocean locked in an endless struggle. For centuries, Norse settlers adapted to this extreme landscape, building turf-roofed houses that blend into the land itself. Life here has always been dictated by geology and weather, reminding visitors that nature sets the rules. Standing on these cliffs, watching waves crash far below, you don't just see the earth, you feel its raw power and isolation. And yet, the journey is far from over. Because next, we travel to a place where water, stone, and time created a natural staircase of turquoise lakes hidden deep within Europe. Plitvice Lakes feels unreal, almost engineered. Turquoise waters cascade from one level to another, weaving through dense forests where mist rises softly and the air smells of wet stone and moss. Every step reveals a new shade of blue, green, and emerald. This landscape was not carved by glaciers or volcanoes, but by water itself. Over thousands of years, mineral-rich springs deposited layers of travertine, slowly building natural dams that created a chain of 16 interconnected lakes. As water flows, the terrain constantly reshapes itself, making Plitvice a living, evolving geological system. Wooden walkways float just above the surface, allowing visitors to move through waterfalls and pools without disturbing the fragile balance beneath. Beneath the clear water, limestone formations continue to grow, proving that this landscape is still being created today. Declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Plitvice stands as a reminder that geology doesn't always act with violence. Sometimes it works quietly, patiently, shaping beauty drop by drop. But this harmony is about to change, because next we travel to a land where ice, altitude, and tectonic forces built a mountain so powerful it dominates the entire horizon. Aoraki rises like a monument to the forces that shape our planet. Snow-covered peaks cut into the sky, glowing with cold light as the air carries the scent of ice, rock, and wind. Silence dominates this landscape, broken only by distant glaciers slowly shifting under their own weight. This mountain was formed by powerful tectonic forces along the boundary of the Pacific and Indo-Australian plates. Over millions of years, relentless uplift pushed the rock skyward, while glaciers carved deep valleys around it. What remains is New Zealand's highest peak, standing at 3,724 meters as a symbol of geological persistence. Glacial lakes like Pukaki and Tekapo rest at its base, their intense blue color created by finely ground rock, glacial flour, suspended in the water. Every ridge, every valley tells a story of ice, pressure, and time working together. For the Maori people, Aoraki is sacred. Its name means the one who pierces the clouds, and according to legend, it is an ancestor turned to stone, forever watching over the land. Here, science and myth exist side by side, each explaining the mountain's power in its own way. And yet, even this giant is not the end of our journey, because next we descend into a desert where stone, sand, and silence reveal one of Earth's most surreal geological landscapes. Wadi Rum feels like another planet. Vast red sandstone walls rise from the desert floor as the air carries the scent of dust, stone, and heat. Silence stretches endlessly across the landscape, broken only by the wind whispering through narrow canyons. This desert was shaped over hundreds of millions of years as tectonic uplift raised ancient sandstone layers, later sculpted by wind and erosion into arches, towers, and massive rock corridors. Iron oxides within the rock give Wadi Rum its deep red and orange tones, especially at sunrise and sunset. Towering cliffs, natural bridges, and smooth rock faces reveal the slow but relentless power of erosion. Every formation tells a story of time, pressure, and patience, a reminder that even the harshest environments are masterpieces of geological design. As night falls, the desert transforms. Under one of the clearest night skies on Earth, stars flood the horizon, and the silence becomes absolute. In Wadi Rum, scale disappears, and you are left alone with the immensity of the planet. This is not just the end of a journey. It's a reminder that Earth still holds landscapes so powerful they feel almost unreal. If these places change the way you see Earth, you're not ready for what comes next. Stay with me, because we're about to explore 13 geological marvels that terrify scientists.